You heard it there from the mouth of Steak himself, saying that these guys have had really good performances in the regular season, but when it comes to playoffs, they just don't deliver, and that maybe fans are a little bit hesitant to cheer for them, but not today. It's a completely different story being written here by the Flash Wolves as they look to close this out in a 3-0 sweep over Midnight Sun Esports. A long, arduous trek up a hill for MSE if they want to come out on top of this one. Flash Wolves just look like they're completely poised to take this series.
And Flash Wolves have, of course, a lot of experience in those reverse sweep situations, as they showed versus Taipei Assassins qualifying for IEM, where they actually had a pretty good showing. And this is something that MSE are really need to figure out right now if they want to turn this around. They have to remember that at League of Legends, yes, the other team can be better in theory in a macro sense, but at the end of the day, you start the game even. They don't get bonus gold, they don't get bonus objectives. At the end of the day, if you come in with a clear head, you have just as good of a shot of winning that game as they do, and so they need to, not worry about the last game. That's past. There's nothing they can do about losing those previous games. They have to focus on what is in front of them, and if they can do that, they'll have a shot at winning this game. Flash Wolves have looked better, but MSE shouldn't be counted out. They have a strong team. They have a much different play style, but if, Empty can show up, if they can figure out how to win these top lane matchups, how to use the most or get the most out of their resources, I imagine that they should have at least a better performance. And if they can get a win, well, then we're looking at a game 4.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, we didn't expect to go really beyond. We didn't even expect to go to game 4 yesterday. TPA out the gates looked so strong. Thought maybe they were going to 3-0 Hong Kong Esports, but because of that adapted play that they were able to bring to the field, they completely switched that around, took them to game 5, and won out and moved on to the finals. So we'll see if Midnight Sun Esports can do that. Kind of follow a similar trend. It's just not looking very strong, and it's the kind of story that might even be laid out in front of us once we get to the pick and ban phase, because something has to be done about Karsa. This man's going on an absolute tear. Double Lee Sin, 2 games up, and he has just been positioning and playing so well with this champion. And it's just, what do you do going into this next one? What do you possibly take away?
So, it's a tough answer. So the Lee Sin is obviously very good, and I think that they picked a team that would actually do really well with it in the rec side. They just need to execute better, and that's a tough spot to be because there's no simple answer now, right? If the issue is execution, not pick ban, it means that you as a team need to step up, which we have to hope that is possible for MSE because at the end of the day, Rek'Sai is a counter to Lee Sin. You can disrupt all of Lee Sin's movement options with that on Burrow. You can match his damage output. You can outmaneuver him on a map level, and it's very traditionally considered that full-on counter. But they just didn't position well. They didn't anticipate how aggressive Karsa would be, how fearless Karsa would be coming into that game, and it's just, I don't know. No one expected that level of play from him because, yes, he has played Lee Sin in the past. Yes, it has been good, but with Lee Sin falling more and more out of favor as Elise and Nidalee and all these other champions have come to the surface, no one expected this level of confidence coming in from him, especially when looking at what he's been playing recently, it's not been Lee Sin. He just hasn't had to practice. There's no reason to assume he would be this good.
Yeah, not at all. So definitely going to have to keep our eyes peeled and see what they take away as we get ready to enter this pick and ban phase. LOFS is another one that we have to keep our eye on, see what he's going to be performing on this time around. They do have first pick, so Midnight Sun could prioritize some different stuff. But yet again, here we go. The Diana ban is going to be the first one taken away by them yet again. So maybe it's so good by Maple that it's worthy of this, but without seeing it, it's just very bizarre to me.
Here's the huge step of confidence from Flash Wolves. They're so sure that they can win this game that they've swapped out Stake, who would, from what we've seen in the past, almost guarantee a win, with MMD, who has been a good player but an inconsistent player. Sometimes he shows up big, sometimes he, quite frankly, feeds out of his mind and can be much less impactful than he needs to be. So. But this is Flash Wolves showing, hey, we know we can win this. We know we're the better team, so we're going to swap it out. We're going to give this guy a chance to play. We're going to work on building up and developing this player the way that they did with NL. Of course, the counteraction here is that they're bringing in Kramer, who is their preferred starting AD carry, so not going to give up too much. But at the same time, MSE, if they can show up here, if they can take advantage of this, this is a huge opportunity because we've been waiting for LOFS to play these carry top laners, waiting for LOFS to bully an opponent out of the lane, and he may be able to do it to MMMD, who is a less experienced top laner than Stake.
Yeah, we'll see if these roster shuffles are going to affect Flash Wolves at all. Oh, but with that hover right there, if they lock that in, that'd be very deadly. We can see the Victor has been grabbed up for MSE. Very consistent. Candy was playing that earlier and doing fairly well on it. But if
just
Flash Wolves lock these in, Ooh, it's just not going to look very good.
Straying away from the hovers, looking at the Victor. I like Candy's Victor. I think he played pretty well, but he fell really far behind. We saw him not able to itemize nearly as much damage as has become the standard. A much more utility-focused build with Morellonomicon, trying to mitigate some of the healing coming in from Maple. And if he gets forced down that road again, depending on what Maple picks, he's going to have much less of an impact than is necessary. Because looking at Candy and the whole of MSE, their damage is very split up between their AD carry, their mid laner, and their top laner, a pretty even split. So Candy really needs to bring that this game. He really needs to make sure that's even. He can't fall behind in damage like he has been. And if he does, it's going to be, quite frankly, really bad for the team as a whole because Stitch hasn't been performing. Stitch has been getting caught out and put in these awkward positions. Yeah. And if they put him on another scaling hyper carry, that's more pressure on a Stitch, less pressure on the Candy, which is not where they want to be.
Yeah. Completely want to reverse that. Again, the Lucian is something that we might see come out, but we can see on the side of Flash Wolves, it will be the Shen and the Alistar picked up, so looking to keep it pretty consistent. Sword Art, of course, revisiting that. Very powerful support for the bot lane, and this time MMD will be trying his hand at the Shen. Stake played it so well, particularly in that last game. We'll see if MMD can match or exceed his performance. That latter would be pretty difficult, as Stake was doing so well. We can see the Elise has been picked up for Empty, though. Going to look to try to better his performance on this. We saw him play this earlier, but opted not to go for it in the second game and then just kind of fell behind.
So what's really interesting here is that they opted to ban out the Rek'Sai. The Rumble, of course, once again, trying to keep their top laner safe. Rumble can be so snowbally, has so much team fight pressure, especially for MSE, a team that loves to team fight. You don't want to give them the equalizer under any circumstances. The interesting thing, though, is the Rek'Sai ban, because by taking Rek'Sai away, you essentially open up the Lee Sin pick a little more. If they want to go towards that route again, once again, no one thinks that Lee Sin is like the top of the top in junglers, but when you're confident in it, and when you're Karsa, in this case, you can make it work. So by picking this, or by banning this away rather, they've really opened up a lot. Please lock it in. Please.
Where would it go? It'd be the mid gangplank.
I don't care. Just play it. I just want to see it. No.
Yeah. That would be certainly one for the
history books.
Here. Yeah, the history books here in this series. But looks like they're leaning toward this Ahri, which wouldn't be surprising whatsoever. Maple played this so well. And if they just want to revisit this, it would not be surprising whatsoever. Of course, the Lee Sin has been locked in for Karsa, so if it's not broke, don't fix it. They're just going to stick with a fairly consistent team composition. Whoa. Oh, last second flip. They're going to take the Vayne as the AD carry, saving the mid pick for last. That's a very bold move here for Kramer coming in.
And now there's a Twitch on the opposite side. Okay, so pick ban has been blown wide open. No one is playing the same things anymore, and this is going to get weird really fast. So let's talk about the Lee Sin. Once again, Karsa, absolutely a playmaker, going to be much more difficult to get the Twitch effectively because of how much time he'll spend in stealth. Pink Ward, a pretty good answer, but at the end of the day, Twitch, once he reveals himself, Lee Sin has a decent route in, but if he reveals himself, you can expect him to be protected in the back line. Alternatively, Stitch can build that assassin style that we saw really popular at the end of Season 4, early Season 4 actually, where you would get the Blade. Yeah, Blade Ghost Blade, right? The double blade, you come up, you got a ton of burst damage, and you can really threaten the mid lane, which is interesting because it could give Candy a chance to get ahead. On the opposite side, though, we have this Vayne. Vayne, of course, doesn't really win the early game in most circumstances. She has that short range. She's, especially in an Alistar lane, she's really tough for her to harass and trade effectively. The good news is if they ever get ahead or if they ever get a gank, headbutt, pulverize into the condemn, that's enough CC to kill anybody. That's enough CC to lock anyone down. So it's an interesting choice to give this over to Kramer. I'm not a huge fan of Vayne in general. I think the short range is very limiting. I think she requires a team comp to be built around her. But when we look at all of Flash Wolves as a whole, you have Shen who can peel for the Vayne, you have Alistar who can peel for the Vayne, and then you have this Lee Sin and this Ahri who function very autonomously, who can jump into the back lines, who can kick someone back in, who can open up these targets. And so it's clear that Flash Wolves are looking to skirmish here. They're not looking for these big team fights. They're looking for small picks. They're looking to split apart team fights and break it off. Because if they fight as a 5v5, they're going to run right into Twitch, right into Victor, right into this Maokai, protective AoE, and that's not what they want. So expect Flash Wolves to continue their rotational play, to avoid team fights, and to try to make the most out of this Vayne and this Ahri, as, Vayne is kind of this pseudo-assassin and Ahri is like a true assassin, to get picks and to snowball their advantage yet again.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what Kramer's going to bring to the table with this Vayne. We know that he is the AD carry that brings out kind of these wacky builds, the Blade of the Ruin King with Essence Reaver on Ezreal, that kind of stuff. He doesn't go
the Wits
for
End Lucian.
Yeah, Wits End Lucian. He doesn't go for very conventional builds. So I want to see if he's going to keep it pretty standard or if he's going to go for something a little bit different. Even if he just varies back to kind of like, if you remember like Season 3, like Double Lift's like favorite Vayne build, which
like
would be the
Bloodthirster?
Yeah, you go for the Bloodthirster first back at the BF sword. See if maybe he wants to do something like that, or if he's going to keep it very very standard and go straight for that Blade of the Ruin King.
The vanilla Vayne, I think is what you're about to say.
Yeah, it
and
was.
It's true. It's Blade of the Ruin King. At the end of the day, it's all about Blade of the Ruin King. Maybe he'll try to keep up with Twitch in terms of assassin damage output by going with that with the Youmu's as well. And Youmu's is really good because when you pop that the final hour of Vate's ultimate, you're really in that 6-second instance. You can duel anybody because even Twitch can't compete with you at that point. Your attack speed goes through the roof. You get a massive BF sword equivalent damage steroid, and it's pretty oppressive to deal with. The question here, though, is not about Vayne post level 6. It's about in the early game and keeping this Vayne safe, which is actually one of the reasons why I think Alistar is such a good pick here for Sword Art, is that he's such a good defensive utility support, but if they do find themselves a lead, he has the flexibility to play aggressive as well, which is something that actually Alistar and Thresh have in common, both immense amounts of offensive and defensive utility, which is my personal favorite way to pick for the support role.
Yeah, and Sword Art has just proven himself time and time again on this Alistar that he's just fantastic. His peel is great. He offers, that minute sustain off of the Triumphant Roar, but he knows when to use the Unbreakable Wall to keep himself alive. He's just overall a fantastic support, especially with this Alistar. Another one that he could have ran into this composition was maybe the Janna. Go for the Protect the 80 carry with the Shen, so you get the Stand United with the Eye of the Storm Shield. We know that Sword Art is a fantastic Janna as well. Ole himself said when he came to this region, I think that Sword Art is fantastic, but I want to show him that my Janna is better than him.
Yeah, and
But
of course,
opting to go for the Alistar instead.
Sword Art now being like, hey, Ola, I know you play Ali. Let me show you how it's done. We'll see if he can execute here, though, because the big question is, I think you're right that Janna could have been a good pick for Vayne. Definitely makes up for a lot of her early game weaknesses, but the difference is that, yes, Vayne scales very well into the late game. Yes, you could, in theory, call her a late game scaling Hyper 80 carry, but she has that short range, and yes, she has the mobility, but she's very vulnerable. She's essentially a duelist more than anything else. She doesn't win in 5v5 circumstances. Yes, she can outduel anyone one-on-one, but when are you going to get that opportunity? And that's the big story here is going to be, can Flash Wolves find these opportunities where Vayne can fight 1 or 2 champions at a time and doesn't have to face all 5 members of MSE heads up, because what we're seeing here is there's not nearly as much peel as I would generally like for a Vayne if they wanted to build around a Vayne comp. They have a decent amount in everyone on their team, but generally what you see when you want to build a Vayne comp and you want a team fight is that everything is focused for the Vayne. A lot of times you'll see Olulu as well, and Ahri obviously has the charm, but it's not nearly as much. So what I'd like to see, once again, skirmishes from the Flash Wolves. MSE need to avoid those. They need to ward up, they need to play safe, and they need to look for these 5v5 fights where they will have the advantage because, of course, Twitch, so much damage output. The Rat-a-tat-tat just rips through teams.
Yeah. Well, we can see the gank coming around the side. As Flash Wolves try to get a repeat performance. They get the hit onto Candy. They headbutt him back. He's going to go down. The taunt goes through. That's first blood over to Karsay yet again. They do this 4-person visit into the mid lane, and nets them the first blood.
And this is Flash Wolves' time as a team practicing together really coming through, because at the end of the day, that gank is possible for everybody. You saw MSE try the same exact maneuver with the same exact tools at their disposal in the previous match, but they could not execute. They fumbled the Maokai Twisted Advance. They did not make it work. Flash Wolves, they don't have that problem. They've practiced this hundreds of times. They've run this in scrims. They've run this in practice. This is a drill for them that they've gotten down to a science. They will execute every time in that mid lane gank. And once again, Candy and the whole of MSE failed to read it coming. Empty is nowhere in position to respond, and they may just rinse and repeat here. They're back in the mid lane.
Yeah, they're just waiting for it. Karsa over the wall. He finally puts down the ward. We'll spot it out. They'll take that one down, though. But you'd be damn sure Candy's going to have to play much more cautiously if he wants to stay alive. You can see already picking up the pink ward so that he can ward out on that flank and try to negate some kind of dive. But just how many times does it have to happen?
And the issue here more than anything is MSE, you got to think they're on game point. If they lose here, they're out. They have no shot at Worlds. The most that they have to their name is their finish this season, and that's not what they wanted. Yes, they were happy to be on this stage, but you know that they have to be hungry for more. They have to show that they're a top team, and losing first blood so quickly, so decisively on the side of Flash Wolves, securing that means that MSE have to be hurting. And as far as emotional fortitude as a team goes, that's a huge blow to your confidence.
Yeah, and already look at this. Look how this is manipulated. The way that this lane is going to go. Maple is level 4 to Candy's level 2. He's already leaps and bounds ahead at 9 to 27 CS. it's only going to get harder for Candy here. He's going to have to sit back and just use the death rate of try to farm as safely as possible. Once Maple hits 6, you can be damn sure he's going to Spirit Rush into the face of Candy and try to get a kill.
And well, the interesting thing here is, once again, we're seeing this lane swap coming out as well, and we saw exactly how lethal Maple can be in those lane swap situations because he's so on point with his roams, and he knows that MSE don't have enough vision control to keep him off of both sides of the map, so they have to pick where they place their vision very carefully, and it's something that they haven't been able to do so far. MMD, of course, coming in for Stake, we were a little worried, but so far he's going even on. Well, of course, we're only 5 minutes into the game, but they're keeping up. MSE, though, they're not satisfied with just keeping up. They're sending every member down to this bottom lane, and they're looking for some blood here from the Flash Wolves.
Yeah, and they need it to get something. If they don't find a kill, they're just going to fall further behind. They're losing pressure in the top side. MMD can just keep pushing this lane. We can see Karsa and Maple are nearby. They can collapse at a moment's notice. And of course, Sword Art with this Alistar is going to be fantastic at peeling off for this Vayne. Stitch.
If they can shut down Kramer here, though, it'll be huge. If Twitch gets ahead and can get early item advantage over, Flash Wolves are just backing off. They don't want to trade here. It looks like they've read. They know that they don't have vision on anyone else on the map, and Maokai has been gone for a very long time. They're just going to back off here. Flash Wolves are reading this perfectly, and MSE aren't. Unfortunately, MSE are not, so they're just leaving these members down here, and they're losing out.
They're committing to this, and Karsa's coming around the side. Chunks goes in with a flash. He gets the play, but Kramer's on the backside. It's just Sword Art that they're trying to lock onto. They should be able to take him down as he repels up into the air. MT will find that first kill. We'll see if Flash Wolves can get anything on the backside of this, as MMD has joined the fray. LOFS has to flash out to safety. They're firing back good damage, though. MSC, it finally pays off, but they spend so much time in this bot side of the map, only just to get one kill. Flash Wolves still up 700 gold.
And of course, MMD did just burn teleport while LOFS is still about to be up. So actually, overall, despite losing a decent amount of experience there, they do come out on top because they get the kill. LOFS is the one who suffers here. He loses so much in this exchange, but because they are able to get that kill over to Empty, it's going to make it that much easier to snowball. Condemn into the kick. Some good coordination there, but no fancy footwork going to come through, and not going to try to go for that one at all.
Yeah, need that level 6 before you can make any fancy plays around this, but Karsa and Kramer doing well to show face in this bottom side and stop this tower take from going through. Kramer's still doing a good job keeping up here with Stitch in the CS game, actually inching ahead of him very slightly. We can see both of these AD carries have opted to go with a longsword. Just get that extra little damage, and likely going to be going straight into the Vamp Scepter on the next back.
It looks like we're going to see Blade of the Rune King from both these guys, which is always a question with Twitch.
Though.
When you see Twitch come back in, Blade of the Rune King always feels right, but he can kind of go either direction. Obviously, you usually get Blade of the Rune King, makes up for some of that mid-game weakness, lets him apply a lot of damage with Rat-a-tat-tat without needing a whole ton in his kit, and then late game, when you get that Infinity Edge, it's just going to be absolutely punishing, absolutely devastating teamfight damage. So far, actually looking like a relatively even game in a lot of ways, but not here in the mid lane. Look at this massive CS discrepancy between this Ahri and this Victor, 56-33. This is all on the back of Maple's confidence in trading, and they're really hanging out Candy to dry while they focus their attention elsewhere. An interesting choice from MSE.
Yeah, a little bit of a rotation up here from Empty and Chunks. Just going to clear out a couple wards. Of course, will be spotted by Maple, and just him inching his way over toward that is enough for Chunks to back off. Now Sword Art on the roam up top. Not going to be able to stop that ward from being taken. Chunks rotates back to the bottom. We'll see if they're able to make any kind of plays here, because they need to get onto Kramer and they need to shut him down. They did get the flash out of him in that fight, but
MSE have a very small window where they can use Maokai's teleport before Shen hits level 6, and that window is gone. Shen just hit level 6. They needed to capitalize on that. That was an advantage that they had that they didn't utilize at all, and unfortunately, in this game of inches, in this game match point situation, those are the kind of plays that would have made the difference. If they could have used that Maokai teleport effectively, they may have been able to find a kill and start actually genuinely get a lead for the first time in the series, but since they didn't, I mean, it's just one little thing missed, but it's pretty important when you look at how crucial those small differences can be.
Yep, Flash Wolves looking to play this very carefully. They know that they cannot get complacent at this point in the series. 2-0, they want to close this out cleanly. They don't want to overcommit anywhere and give up any ground to MSC, because if they do that, it could just be enough for them to take a lead and actually net themselves a win.
And it was a question when they subbed in MMD and Kramer if they were going to take this game as seriously, but we can see from the way that they executed that early aggressive gank to shut down Candy, to give Maple that edge that he always wants to have, that they very much are taking this seriously. They're treating this just like any other tournament game. They know what's on the line for them. They know that they can't afford to lose anything here, because yes, they're a strong team, yes, they reverse sweep, but there's no reason to gamble it. They're not going to a team that's going to stop playing 100% at any point.
Candy doing what he can to try to stop that ward tank. Throws up the gravity field. Not going to be able to
Stop it though, that Raptor buff allowing for Karsa to just move forward and get that vision cleared out. Candy and Chunks now hovering this mid. Throws out the gravity field, not able to find Maple. That could have been the follow-up, maybe into a death sentence if they were able to hook it. But of course, Maple's still going to be quite elusive on this Ahri with the Spirit Rush available and Flash as well. Now we can see it's just Kramer and Sword Art down here on the bot side against Stitch, who is keeping up pretty well in CS, 64 to 67, both of these AD carries. Now equipped with the Bilgewater Cutlass, boots up here for Stitch. We'll see if Kramer wants to match mobility or if he's just going to go straight for additional damage and attack speed with the daggers and go toward that Blade of the Rune King. Pretty sure that's what he's going to do.
Of course, Blade of the Rune King's build pass slightly improved since they made the changes to recurve bow. Not going to affect anything too much at this stage of the game, however. Really going to be a huge difference here in the mid lane. As soon as Maple gets the opportunity to back 90 CS, means he will most likely have whatever he wants to build finished out here. I'm guessing the Morellonomicon coming in. But we'll have to see. Maple's always been flexible, and he's going in anyway.
The charm is not going to connect on the Candy, who throws out that Chaos Storm. Shield coming through. They pop him back. Candy in a very bad spot. The taunt's not going to land, but MMD with the flash forward. Can he get the kill? Karsa comes around the side, smites him out for the kill. Now Empty very far forward. Has to go up with the repel. Flashes away as well. Should keep himself safe. Sonic Wave lands, but Karsa doesn't want to follow that one underneath of the tower. Should be safe. Candy going down, getting a little too greedy against Maple.
80 carries left alone to farm it out in the bot lane, but at the end of the day, that is Flash Wolves and their excellent coordination. Karsa coming in on the backside. Unfortunately, a missed taunt from MMD, but otherwise a very clean execution there. Maple as well, missing the charm. But the reality is that while MSE should have been able to punish those mistakes, they really weren't given the opportunity, and this means that Flash Wolves are slowly but surely extending this gold advantage in the game. I mean, 2-1 in the kill department, but a massive difference in the gold. Present from the CS in both the mid lane and the top lane. MMD, a new player, a player who has not gotten much time as part of the main roster, not played much in any of the games, actually out-farming LOFS, who has much more experience, has been playing with this MSE lineup the entire season, and it's sad to see.
Yeah. Not looking good for MSC. Not nearly as far behind as they were at this point in the last game. We can see making some moves, trying to pick up where they can. Go over and will get this first dragon of the game. So a good little reprieve for them. Only down 1.5 thousand, but MMD is looking to equalize that trade and go for this top tier 1 tower.
And once again, this is the thing about the top teams in any region across the world, is that they never give up objectives for free. Yeah. They're always going to make those trades. They're going to trade tower for dragon. They're going to trade vision control for vision control. If you take a kill, we'll get what we can. Nothing is given up for free. And unfortunately for MSE, they're not in a situation where they've been able to do the same. They give up small kills here and there, and at the end of the day, they're the ones coming out behind, whereas Flash Wolves make sure to keep it even. You take a dragon, we'll just keep extending this gold lead, and while, yes, that dragon will be relevant as they move further and further into the game, right now, the gold from that tower is worth infinitely more.
Yeah, exactly. And they need to be able to keep maintaining the, taking those dragons if it's going to be that much more relevant. We saw Flash Wolves having complete control over them in the last 2 games, almost going to the 5th in the first game. You can see Sword Art and Karsa coming around the side. Empty throws out the cocoon, just not going to hit anybody. And it will be safe, and that's just going to be the general disengage. But more deep wards coming out from Karsa and Sword Art. You can see these guys both just working so well together. It's just...
One of the few strengths that this MSE comp has is that they have pretty solid wave clear with the Victor and the Twitch as well. Not amazing, but pretty good. And as a result, it's going to be very difficult for Flash Wolves to just force down towers in the same way that they did previously with that Sivir. And so now they're a little bit more reliant on these picks, so you can see them trying very hard to get him. Oh, MSE have learned, though. They've figured it out. Chunks knows that he can't just walk into his own jungle. He knows it doesn't belong to him. Sword Art in trouble.
Yeah, in trouble indeed. Death Sentence is going to go a little bit wide, though, and he will not get caught. Still has the Unbreakable Will. Karsa goes in. That's going to be the flash away by Chunks. Karsa still going deep. Kick Stitch back. Here comes MMD, but the flash away will keep him out of that taunt. And now this could be the fight for MSE as Sword Art gets ready to go down. Stand United comes through. He will still be alive. Kramer comes up with the first kill of the fight. Empty getting stunned into the wall. He's going to be made quick work of as Kramer tries to take him down. Maple will find that kill. It's a 2-0 going over to the Flash Wolves, who turn that fight on its head.
Flash Wolves, everything went wrong for them. Yes, they kicked them back into the fight. It was a great play from Kramer, but they landed right in the gravity field. They should have lost that one. Shen ran right into the gravity field, but at the end of the day, they show up yet again. Look at this. Sword Art moves in. The patience here on the Unbreakable Will is unprecedented. Anyone else would have pushed it way sooner, but he saves it to bait in the Elise, as we'll see later. Stitch cooked out, trying to get zoned out as well, and you're going to watch your screen as Ahri's going to come in here from the top. Sword Art barely surviving with that ultimate from Shen. MMD showing up huge for the team, and Maple on the backside, and Kramer more than anything else, who, all your cooldowns are blown? Guess what? Bane will take your team off the map.
Yeah, fantastic play by the Flash Wolves. You can see pressure has been opened up in the mid lane, though, for MSE as they take down that Tier 1 tower, but Gold still just stretching in favor of the Flash Wolves. It is good, though. This is a little bit different from MSC. They are able to kind of recuperate after they lose these fights and at least take some sort of objective. Getting the dragon, getting that mid tower, it's not ideal. You know, they're still losing these fights. That is not ideal for them, but they are at least recovering something after they lose.
And remember, once again, we have the beauty of this MSC team comp that I really love is that they put in Stitch on a very good late game carry with Twitch, with good positioning. Ratatat obviously lets him just do so much damage, but they've also allowed themselves to have a decent amount of mid game strength as well, and then the fact that they're also keeping themselves in this game is inspiring. It makes me think that MSC do still have a chance here. They are in no way out of this game. It's a little rough that that Flash Wolves are snowballing them and are already starting to get a pretty big advantage. But, MSE are doing their best to get back, to get these little cuts into Flash Wolves' line, to take a tower when they can, despite losing that fight, not hesitating, not backing off, knowing we have the man advantage here, we'll take this tower down, and it's a good showing.
Yeah. And, I mean, the big concern right now has to be Candy in this mid lane. 0-2-0, down 21 CS by, underneath of Maple. Not a good showing so far. Needs to step this game up because, with Victor, you want to be able to clear the wave with your death right and then roam and then come back before you miss CS. He's not able to leave his lane right now, and he's just falling further and further behind Maple, who we know can perform into the late game with this Ahri.
And we'll have to see exactly what Kramer can do here as he walks in. Unfortunately, the Souls are going to give away chunks. Kind of the tough part about hiding in that brush, obviously. People are going to know you're around if Souls start spawning. So Kramer backing off, smells blood in the water, knows it's time to leave. And for Flash Wolves right now, they're playing as expected. They're pushing in deeper vision. Sword Art, though.
Oh, Sword Art taking a lot of damage. Still has Unbreakable Will and Flash if he needs to use it. Once again, exercising great restraint. Holds on to that one. Candy not able to wrap around the side of that wall in time to capitalize with the gravity field. MMD doing a good job of applying this split push pressure, which is what we've been seeing from Shen this entire series, regardless of who's playing it. He's just always in the opposite lane. You can see Stand United is up for him. Teleport is going to be up in about a minute and a half, something like that. So pretty soon he will have that double global pressure back. MMD walking over that pink ward. Not sure if he wants to go back.
He wants to go in and auto the pink ward really bad, but he's
buff.
really scared because at this point he's already gotten the red buff aggro, and it's pretty much just not a whole lot he can do there. But on the bright side, now that he pushed down, Sword Art feeling a little more comfortable to push in and take these pinks out. And this is Flash Wolves pushing for vision control as expected. They look for these smaller objectives that a lot of teams are willing to overlook, like slight vision control. They see too many members committed on one side by MSE. They don't always have to get a kill. They don't always have to get a pick. Although in this case, Maple looks like he might be hungry for one. They can just get those wards. They can just get that small vision advantage and then turn that into something greater later on.
Yeah, for the time being, looks like we have a general disengage in the action. Just going to be the blue buff getting acquired for Maple. Going to help him keep throwing out those orbs of deception. And net himself that superior CS, which that lead is growing steadily upward here over top of Candy's Victor. Now, second dragon of the game has spawned. This would be the first for the Flash Wolves. If they can get this for themselves.
Flash Wolves have the Blade Rune King completed on Vayne. So does Twitch, though, so they're even in that regard. But at the end of the day, it comes down to this pick.
Oh, Chunks gets found out. That's going to be helping Pulsarize. He gets knocked up. The Ignite ticking. Sword Art goes in. They finish him off. Repel up into the air for Empty. You'll see if he gets out of this one alive. Maple has to kite backwards. He takes so much damage from the Chaos Storm. But Kramer goes forward, and he finishes off the Maokai. Now Stitch coming in. He gets charmed into the face. He gets knocked up. He goes down to the triple shot from Kramer. And we'll see if Flash Wolves want to just keep pushing up this mid lane. The charm, or the taunt is not going to land here from MMD. But the charm lands on the Candy. He takes so much damage. One more hit would take him down, but he flashes to safety as he finishes off Maple. Karsa going deep, goes on to Empty. Will he finish him off? He will. Oh! Kill! My God, he takes down Empty as well. Karsa playing like a master on this Lee Sin.
Oh my God, I'm so glad I got an ace. So, you know what he did? He hit him with the Luda. He hit him with the bump because when he backs, he does the double tap on the bell. That was the dirtiest play I've ever seen.
Oh,
Goes
we need
in,
a replay.
Completes it. I will watch that play 100 times over. At the end of the day, Karsa, if this isn't banned away from him on the world stage, I will be stunned. Let's go back to this fight, though. They move in, they get this pick on Chunks, they're able to finish this out. Sword Art commits for the auto attack. They think that they have this good pick on Maple, but the Shen ult is used to mitigate the damage, allowing Maple to get out. Of course, the lifesteal, or rather the spellband coming in there as well. Now, Kramer, in these situations where cooldowns have been blown and chaos is sown in a team fight where the front lines have been broken. This is where Vayne is really, really strong. It's because she's so good at cleaning up these kills and cleaning up these fights. And you can see here Candy coming in. A beautiful play by Candy. But at the end of the day, this is all going to come down to Karsa, who once again comes in, perfect energy management here, goes in, going to make this happen. The flash, the smite, the auto. Let's call it a day, boys.
Oh my god. Oh, and now Maple maybe in a bad spot. Stitch Layer's done quite a bit of damage. The Charm not going to connect, but I have to go back and say, Hong Kong Esports, I hope you are watching this, because if Flash Wolves takes this game, if they go 3-0, they're going to have to deal with this Lee Sin tomorrow.
And he just stole with the Sonic Wave base damage. He just stole the big old Raptor. I mean, I'm blown away by this level of Lee Sin. But this is those highlight montages you see on Reddit that are like cherry-picked from clips of good games. But this is what Karsa looks like all the time.
It's been this entire series.
Yeah.
This entire series long, Karsa is just playing like an absolute monster with this Lee Sin.
4-0 and 5 the scoreline, 100% kill participation, indomitable. But MSE, enough of your cute moves. They're going to move in. They're going to pressure for this top lane turret. They don't care about the stylish plays. They're not worried about it. They'll take advantages where they can find them, and they're going to bring this one back. And despite the beautiful play from Karsa, they're not out of this game yet.
Yeah, and once again, this is just good play from MSE, picking up the pieces after they, have some faltering going on. Net themselves now tied in towers, still down by about 4.3 thousand gold. Still, a pretty good discrepancy in favor of the Flash Wolves, but not insurmountable. Tied in Dragons as well, so that 6% buff is going to be affecting both of these teams equally so. But MSE, they need to get better vision coverage in their own jungle. They need to get a pick here if they want to be able to, take the lead in this game. Empty, only able to get the small minions off the blue buff, just too worried about the placement of Flash Wolves, has to peel out of there. And this should be a buff for the Flash Wolves to steal away.
It looks like they're actually going to use this one as they know that they're going in.
Karsa knows that it's there, though. Throws out the Sonic Wave, doesn't connect. Sword Art around the side, takes a lot of damage. Still, once again, holds on to the Unbreakable Will. Because I know exactly when I need to pop this one. But now just everyone coming around, and that's going to be Karsa smiting it away yet again.
And look at how low Candy's mana is. He has to back out of this fight. He will be useless in the next team fight, and this is a huge opportunity for Flash Wolves to push in for something greater if they want, whether it's deeper vision, whether it's a tower here. They know that Victor is out of the equation for at least another minute, and it looks like they're just going to use this to steal a little bit of CS away and to have Maple push up and secure a little bit more farm deeper in enemy territory. So not a major advantage gained, but by taking the blue away, they're making it so much more difficult for Candy to fight effectively.
Yeah. And we're seeing the same story that we saw the last time Candy played this Victor. He has to go for the augments rather than his items. He's just completed the Morel and Omicron, but it's long since been completed by the side of Maple, and he has the Abyssal Scepter on top of it. He is just leaps and bounds ahead of Candy on all fronts, and it just makes it that much more difficult for Midnight Sun to excel in these team fights because they just don't have that passive damage that Victor is able to offer.
MSE, though, are still managing to find little advantages here and there. They're not too far behind in the farm department in the bottom lane, at least. The Twitch is managing to keep up. The big difference here, though, is the 3 kills in the hands of Kramer, and the fact that now he has the static ship. He's a huge split-pushing threat, and Stitch really can't duel at this point. He doesn't have any other items under his belt, and it's just not a good place to be. Kramer has all of his summers available, and he can just keep split-pushing this top lane. There's not really anyone as an individual can contest him. So they're going to have to send 2 members up there, and now it looks like we're going to see Flash Wolves adapt the 1-3-1 split push with Maple staying in the mid lane, Vayne along the top, and Shen along the bottom lane, where both Karsa and Sword Art are free to roam between the lanes as necessary. And what this means is that MSE, once again, are slowly going to get choked out of vision control, choked out of farm, and choked out of this game.
Yep, and it's been the way that the story's been going throughout this series, and Flash Wolves are looking to continue the narrative. You can see MMD yet again just moving that lane up in the bot side. Kramer has gone back to buy yet again. Static Shiv completed for him. Brutalizer coming in for Stitch, however. So his assassin potential is growing if he can get onto Kramer. But yet again, it's going to be so difficult for him to deal with when Final Hour gets popped on that Vayne.
Truly, and especially with the QSS, which is what it appears to be coming out for Kramer here.
Yeah, and that's not too surprising. The Cocoon, you have so much CC. The Gravity Field as well from Candy. There's a lot. Oh, doesn't make the wall quite.
LMS spectator. You never miss anyone's mistakes, and I love you for that. MMD mistakes aside, I mean, MSE are in a tough spot because they've hit the point where Vayne is absolutely going to be able to outdamage the Twitch, just because Final Hour is a massive AD steroid, but additionally, if Twitch doesn't have a pink ward in his inventory at all times, a single Vayne tumble, giving that stealth, denies him 1 or 2 auto attacks, and when Expunge is such a huge part of his damage, it's going to be really difficult to trade effectively. He needed to be ahead in itemization, not behind. But now that Kramer has found repeated success in these team fights, he's built up enough of a lead where Twitch is fundamentally not a threat in a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, and of course he can't even remotely try to engage onto Maple. Just throw a charm straight into the face of the rat and burn him down.
Well, he's just no longer can he function as an individual, as an assassin. It's going to be all about those team fights, which of course is what we said MSE want to get, but it might not be enough.
Oh, Maple goes in onto Candy, gets a lot of damage off. Empty is here to try to support, might go back in with the Spider Form. Now the teleport coming across from LOFS. Karsa doesn't even seem to care. Sword Art on the backside has to use the Unbreakable Will finally as he's taking a lot of damage.
But look
Here
at
comes
MMD in the
this
top lane.
This could be a good turnaround. Yeah, MMD going with the split push. Sword Art still on the run. The Unbreakable Will is down. Will he fall? It's going to be the Stand United to save his life. And now MSE are just on a complete retreat as MMD goes in. He gets the taunt off. MSE trying to kite back as best as he can. Karsa goes in. Can he get the kick back? No, he's not going to be able to fight it as he gets grabbed up from the death sentence. That's just out to safety. But MMD goes in with a huge taunt. Catches 3 members. 1 goes down. That's going to be Empty going down. And now Candy has fallen. It's a 3-for-0 in favor of Flash Wolves. So far, it's going to be a complete ace. And this is going to be Flash Wolves able to go up and grab the Baron, it seems.
And this is Flash Wolves showing their skill as a team fighting team. We consider them a macro rotational team. We never consider them as strong, powerful team fighters, but clearly in their recent scrims, they've adapted so well because you saw, at the end of the day, once again, a game of inches. Each and every member of their team was so low on mana, so low on health, on every resource possible, but they would flash in aggressively for one headbutt, more headbutt pulverize, for one more engage, for one more opportunity to go in, and now it's not only going to result in this team fight, but in the Baron as well. Let's take a look at this again. Maple pokes in here. The flash taunt secures 1. Not ideal. MSE trying to form a functional front line, but you see Karsa lands the kick, goes in. Everyone has to turn to address this Lee Sin, and that gives Kramer and the rest of Flash Wolves an opportunity to re-engage. MMD coming in huge with the 3-man taunt there. Sword Art on the backside, making sure that Kramer will not get disrupted. And Stitch trying desperately to find an advantage, but at the end of the day, it's too little too late. The Twitch doesn't do enough damage, and while every member is low, every member's cooldowns are now up as well on the Flash Wolves.
Yeah, and the Dragon is up as well. Both teams, this would be their second, but Flash Wolves just have the power to force their way into this one. Empty maybe going to go for a steal. That would certainly be a suicide, however. So he's just going to peel back, and it's going to be second Dragon for Flash Wolves. Third up the game here as we hit the 27-minute mark. 14-2 on the board and up nearly 10,000 gold. And even in towers, Flash Wolves yet again, just proving that they can play methodically, they can play cohesively, even with these roster swap outs.
And they're just mixing it up consistently, but MMD 1-0-11, 4-0-6 for Kramer. 5-0-8 for Karsa. Everyone is having an amazing performance this game, and there is really nothing keeping MSE in except for the time remaining in this game. Baron buff minions pushing in. Hope is dying. Stitch though, trying to find something back.
Ghost Blade, but they see him. Sword Art with that pink ward in the brush. They spot him out. Karsa goes forward. The Sonic Wave does not connect. He gets grabbed up. This could be the turnaround. MSE Chunks going in deep, but he gets stunned into the wall. He's going to be made quick work of as Karsa finds that kill. And now it looks like Flash Wolves, when it completely engage in, as Empty has to go up into the air. Nice knock up for Sword Art as he catches 2 of them. Huge amounts of damage going over to Flash Wolves. Looks like Sword Art may fall here. No, he's staying alive. And Karsa has found a kill onto Stitch. So far, it's a 3-for-0. And Flash Wolves are just sweeping through the ranks. MMD, he gets the catch onto Candy, and they take him down. Empty, the only member of MSE to walk out with his life, and he does it barely so. That's going to be the inhibitor line broken in just 28 minutes. Flash Wolves are just walking away with this game yet again.
Once again,
MSD, he goes back in, catches Empty, and who does not have the damage. He's going to have to peel off of this one. Maple throws out the charm, but the Spiderlings are there to eat that one up. Flash Wolves, they get the inhibitor, and they should be able to back out of this one safely.
Flash Wolves absolutely unstoppable. It does not matter. They have such a massive gold advantage that the 6th man of the team, the tower in that fight, was not enough to stop them from diving in, from creating greater advantages, from crushing the opposition. Flash Wolves, unstoppable. They take the tier 2 in addition to everything else, and at this stage of the game, Flash Wolves can rinse and repeat. They can probably dive this inhibitor tower now. They are so far ahead, and at this point, MSE have to play the next team fight perfectly. One more mistake and they lose this game, and they have not been performing flawlessly. They have not been finding the advantages when they could, and as a result, they need to find a sudden burst of faith, a sudden burst of confidence. Something needs to happen. because in League of Legends, they are out.
Yeah.
There is nothing left for them. But if they find a way to play perfectly, to expose the tiniest weakness in a way that we didn't think was possible, they can find a way back.
Oh, and that Sword Art finding Candy, and he just gets devastated. Kramer finds that kill.
That was
And
not.
that is just,
that was not it.
Like you said, if MSE makes a mistake, they lose this game. That might have just been the mistake. This tier 2 tower is going to fall as well. All outer turrets down for MSE. Yet again, 3 games in a row. Flash Wolves are just sweeping through the base.
Pushing up here, they have to wait for the wave, so they will get to knock down that death timer on Candy just a little bit. But unfortunately, hope is dying so fast for MSE. It's not been a good series for them. They have been falling behind time and time again. And it looks like Flash Wolves have proven themselves the better team. Stitch, though, not done yet.
Yeah, throws out. That's going to be the grab onto Maple, but he can dash right out of that one. The Shen ulti used for good measure. And Stitch, he just gets deleted. Oh my god, Maple with the Orbit Deception takes him out with one spell. What was that?
5, 1, and 10. Ari, you cannot give him the chance!
Oh my god, they get the catch on the Candy. That's going to be the pop-up onto Chunks. He goes down. LOFS is going to go down as well. And I think Flash Wolves might just finish the game on this push. A double kill going over for Kramer in the last minute. It's empty, barely able to make it into the fountain. Maple doing what he can to relegate them in there. But the Nexus turrets are falling as the Super Creeps come knocking on the base door. Nexus turrets are going to go down. This is going to be Flash Wolves coming out 3-0. Kramer getting caught by that cocoon, but there's only so much you can do. MMT goes forward to get the taunt. It does not connect, but Stitch already. He goes down. Kramer finds that kill. My God, Flash Wolves, they're already dead. Just finish it off.
Flash Wolves playing with their food and coming out 3-0. Clearly the better team here. Not done yet. End the game to keep Maple's KDA alive, but here today, Flash Wolves are the victor, a well-earned 3-0, and absolutely the stronger team between these two.
My God, Flash Wolves.
Yeah.
What a series. 3-0 just plowing through the ranks of Midnight Sun Esports, who just couldn't get a foothold in any of the 3 games that they played. It never looked like they were going to win a game. They just got shut out from the beginning every single time, giving up the first blood, and that's that statistic that we saw before the game's begun. Midnight Sun has only won 1 game over top of Flash Wolves, and in that game they got first blood. Every other time, the team that got first blood came out on top, and that shows true with this series here. Every single time, first blood coming out of that mid lane.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal play by
3
Flash Wolves.
games in a row. Unstoppable. I mean, literally gets the double kill, stops to back just to throw the back animation out, just so the spectators can see him dinging the bell. Round's over, boys. We got this. And that's true. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like Karsa is an amazing jungler, outclassed completely for Empty, and Candy getting outclassed, the bottom lane as well. It doesn't matter what AD carry they bring in. MSE just look like the weaker team, and it's a sad state because when we get to this high level of play, when these teams have both qualified for this competitive of an event, you never want to see 3-0s. But here it is.
Yeah.
Flash Wolves clearly head and shoulders above the competition.
Head and shoulders. Head and shoulders is like, that's not even. It's
Like-
much more than that. But wow, that is the exact type of play that Flash Wolves needs, and they just have to bring that back to the table tomorrow when they play against Hong Kong Esports, because we saw a bit of a shaky performance from them against the Taipei Assassins, who kind of came in the doors swinging. But we've seen them play in the playoffs a couple weeks ago, and Hong Kong Esports had a very easy time going up against Flash Wolves, finishing them 3-1 in a best of 5. It's not going to be an easy task for Flash Wolves to beat them.
I think the jungle matchup and the support matchup will be much more even this time around. I think it'll be a much more even set of games. But if Hong Kong Esports don't show us what they showed us in Game 5 yesterday, Flash Wolves will overrun them.
Yeah.
They can't let this Lee Sin pick become viable. They can't give these opportunities for these stylish outplays, for these massive advantages generated purely on mechanical skill and on map rotation. And if Flash Wolves get the chance to play their game, Hong Kong Esports will lose. And the interesting thing here is that Hong Kong Esports have shown true strength with 1 or 2 compositions, and Flash Wolves have really shown that give us anything. Give us, an unviable jungler, a variety of mid laners, any AD carry, any top laner, any support, and we'll make it work. We'll make it happen. And HKE have not shown us that. So Flash Wolves, confident 3-0, have to be feeling good, and HKE have to be nervous about this.
Yeah, I'm sure they were watching that game. In fact, I know they were watching that game from up top in the
Twitch VIP booth.
the Twitch VIP lounge, and
Twitch.
so they have to have these thoughts running through their heads of what are we going to do. We saw the Diana ban coming out against the side of Flash Wolves. Is that something that HKE are going to have to ban? We saw Toys try to play yesterday, and it just did not work out at all. So
we
it's
know
not
they're
going to
not
be a
gonna
pick
play
that
it.
they're going to. Yeah, it's not going to be a pick that they take away. So are they going to have to ban that one? Or are you going to have to ban the Lee Sin away from Karsa, who's just playing so well?
Well, the interesting thing is, you can see this on your screen now, Karsa the MVP, not even a doubt in our mind. Everyone and anyone who's watched this game, this is the quintessential set of Lee Sin games. This is Lee Sin on release strength right here, but we're obviously much further along than that. A much weaker champion and still making a massive impact. 8-1 and 13, and for Dinter especially, a guy who doesn't really touch this champion as much, a guy not as much experience in a lot of the ways. It's going to be tough for him to deal with this. And it's a difference in style. Dinter, a much more team-focused jungle in a lot of situations, will pick things that are much more supportive, things that are much more group, team fight kind of focused. But we look at the relative champion pool from Karsa, and we see Nidalee, huge snowball jungler, about getting massive leads early, snowballing it in with immense spear damage, the potential for 1v1 duels. Same thing with Lee Sin. And it's just a huge stylistic mismatch, and whoever gets their way will probably win the game.
Yeah, it's going to be a big question. I also want to know what's going to happen with these roster swaps. What are we going to see coming out tomorrow? Are we going to see MMD starting in the top lane, or is it going to be Stake again? Because Stake played so well today that he deserves that starting spot, I feel. But MMD, another fantastic performance. Are we going to see Kramer coming out at the start? Are we going to see God Choir, God JJ? There's so many questions to be asked from both sides. But first, we're going to have to take a look at this play. Karsa, beautiful kickback.
This is the fight I thought they lost.
Yeah,
100%.
It really looked like it.
And everything came together. Every cooldown used perfectly. Karsa exactly where he needs to be. Kramer cleaning up the fight as expected. And I thought at first it was this huge fumble, but at the end of the day it was MSE who couldn't use their cooldowns together, couldn't focus down a single target. And the patience more than anything that came in from Sword Art on those ultimates. In a full-on team fight, you always want to Unbreakable Will early to get the most out of the damage mitigation. But in those skirmishes, he consistently used Unbreakable Will to mitigate and to bait people in addition to being patient on it.
Yeah, we saw right there, Maple just deleting Stitch.
This is an interesting replay because it's just like the game is already over, right? So now this is that highlight reel moment where they're just going to dive the fountain over and over again. But it is important to see that MSE just look lost, and now it's kind of the story every time that Flash Wolves got a lead. And the difference here, though, when we look at tomorrow's games, is that HKE have been able to play from behind in the past. They have thrown away early advantages and come back, whereas MSE really never did that. They absolutely got snowballed on. It was very clear that they did not know how to play from behind. They were not comfortable in making those objective trades. They finally started to do it in Game 3, but even then it was too late. And you just can't let the Lee Sin get ahead. You can't let the Ahri get ahead. The Vayne, literally everything went wrong. Nothing went in their favor.
Yeah, and we could see here, this engage just for that first blood yet again, time and time again. Sword Art catching Candy, pops him back with the headbutt, and they just make quick work of him. And you give Karsa that first blood, and it's just going to spiral out of control from there.
The reason I know that they practice this so much is that he waited on the Pulverize. He went in, got the head, waited because he saw the flash animation start, wasn't going to let him, dip out. Then hit it, team follows up, everything comes together. And the difference here is that, once again, this is something that Flash Wolves have practiced. They know, hey, if we can pull this off, we'll get the win so quickly. We can snowball Maple. It's exactly what they need. And on the other hand, MSC were like, okay, we understand conceptually how this works, but they didn't have the practice and execution, which is what is so crucial here.
Yeah, it just kind of looked like MSC, after playoffs, they said, oh, you know what, we gave it our best. We're going to practice for the regional finals.
Take it super serial.
We're just gonna go do nothing but practice. First, I'm gonna take a nap, and then they went into a coma.
Yeah.
And then they woke up this morning. They're like, wait a second, we have to play today.
I'll give him a little more credit than that. But guys, we'll be back momentarily with an interview with Maple. In the meantime, enjoy the award ceremony and look at your victorious Flash Wolves.